Fashion questions episode. You ask them, I answer. Thoughts on Nepo Babies in fashion? Great question. Here's the weird thing about like this whole like Nepo Baby conversation is that it seems to mostly be centered around entertainment. Like, oh, Nepo Babies in fashion and Nepo Babies in film, and oh, it turns out that this singer is a Nepo Baby. Y'all know that Nepo Babies are like everywhere, right? Like the idea of having extremely wealthy parents that are willing to fund some kind of lifestyle for their children, that exists in literally every segment of life for all of human history. If you're in an MFA program, like a creative writing master degree kind of thing, there's going to be some guy in there who has been able to just travel the world and write poetry for the last 5 years preparing for this MFA program. And he's really good at writing poetry now because he hasn't had to have a job. And he just sort of goes around and does whatever he wants. And it's because his dad owns a bank. Speaking of banks, in the banking world, there is someone who is the head of a bank, and they're the head of the bank because their dad was also the head of that bank. And everybody's like, well, let's just give it to Tim's son. Despite what this house might imply, I don't think I fit into the category of Nepo Baby. I realize it looks like most people think that I live in Manhattan. I live in the middle of nowhere in the southern United States. My father works in the service industry. This house was $10 because it was dilapidated in the 1980s, and my parents bought it from the city with the promise of fixing it. They spent most of my childhood doing that, and my dad worked in flea markets for most of his life. So like all of this furniture was gotten for like $100. That thing was free. My parents are certainly not making any phone calls to get me established in the fashion industry, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, I get a little bit frustrated about this sometimes for people who just seem to be able to like coast into the industry and not really do a whole lot, and they just like land a job at a major publication or something. And that is kind of annoying. The best thing that you can do is just not get too emotionally tied up in it. That is something that is fully out of your control. I don't know, we can be as mad as we want about Nepo Babies being anywhere or at any time or whatever. I don't think that's going to change very much about that, and it's certainly not going to help us in our own work. Focus on your own stuff. I found that brings a lot more peace of mind.
Hey guys, bless you. Another random factoid about clothes. Did you know all pockets are like a portal to a third dimension?
Someone did a review of this channel and they were like, also there's this character. His name is Isaac, and it's unclear if this is like a friend or a brother. Perhaps it's Bliss's lover. And that has been now a running joke in this family for a really long time.
Just lovers, my sweet boy.
My precious baby boy. Join the motherfucking Patreon. Do it, please. Here's a great question that I think speaks to what a lot of people are thinking. In the future, will it be possible to be an artistic designer like Margiela or McQueen? Yes, it is. Here's the deal. In the 1990s, a lot of industry folks were really romanticizing the 1970s and really kind of looking back at that as like, this is when the true masters were able to work. Or even the 1960s, because that's when Balenciaga was stopped working. There was a lot of... We kind of have always had this idea that like things were better just in the recent past, and that's when there was such perfection, but now we've lost that and we're in this like newfound low area from which we will never recover. And then Margiela comes in and introduces ideas that no one had even ever considered before. Lots of people had taken reference from like kind of regular workaday people, but Margiela was able to dig into that and say like, this has real value, not just to influence these like high-flying designs, but for the things of just regular Parisian waiters' lives. That those are things that are not only cool looking, but there's a real value in that way of living and seeing the beauty in those things just exactly the way they are. And if we move that into the Paris fashion context, it actually looks really beautiful without changing a whole lot. When McQueen came in and kind of informed everyone that you could talk about pain in your own life through the work of fashion, that was just mind-blowing for everyone. That had never really been considered in the way that he was introducing it. There had been people who were not trying to go necessarily for this I keep saying high-flying, but high-flying beauty like Rei Kawakubo and Yohji Yamamoto before him. But McQueen was able to come in and say like, no, I want to talk about pain in my own life, and I want to talk about it in really specific ways and to make it almost autobiographical the way that I'm talking about it. Nobody had really been able to make that move in a way that resonated with people before. some young kids come in and fuck everything up and everyone's better for it. That's still possible. And you know what's weird is that a lot of people didn't realize that that was happening while McQueen and Margiela were working. I mean, all you have to do is go back and look at the New York Times reviews of Margiela's early shows, and you will find that the reception was mixed at best. That literally might be happening right this very minute, and we don't even know it. Don't lose hope. It's still out there. I wouldn't be doing my job. Like, this job would not even be remotely fun if there was not quality work that's being made now, and there is quality work. If you're looking for somebody in particular to sort of examine really closely, I would recommend Satoshi Kondo's work at Issey Miyake. He is doing extremely well. His last few seasons have been unbelievably good. Here's a really good one. Is commercial fashion like Dior and Louis Vuitton less important than artisanal fashion like Iris van Herpen? I would say that we are really lucky in fashion because it's a mixed bag. There are no huge houses that have never had a period in their history where they were making culturally significant good art. Prada, Louis Vuitton, Dior, even if you don't like the current iteration of what those houses are, there has been a point in their history where those houses have made really important, culturally shifting work in the fashion industry. I do think it's a mixed bag in fashion. If I had to choose one of those things to really focus on personally, I would probably choose artisanal stuff every day of the week because Iris van Herpen is just endlessly fascinating with the level of technology and the level of craftsmanship that goes into her stuff. But I do not think it does anyone any good for, or at least I'll just speak for myself. I don't feel like I would be doing a service to my mission in this channel if I was completely ignoring Dior, Louis Vuitton, Prada, these kinds of things. Do we need a Jinko Pants comeback? I think that's been tried multiple different times. It doesn't seem like anybody's buying them. So I don't know. If you feel like we need a Jinko Pants comeback, then you should go buy some Jinkos. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Not because I hate Jinkos, just because I don't want any. I don't know. No hate. I mean, I think they look cool on people. They're not for me. Explain contouring, please. I have a question for you. What made you ask that question to me specifically? I wish that I could do makeup more often, but every time, like, I really want to wear eye makeup, I just am so lazy. I run a YouTube channel where I sit on the floor. Like, I am clear, laziness should be just emanating from my being. Going and getting my nails done. I don't do my own nails. Every time you see me with like the really shimmery nails and stuff, it's because I have like bit the bullet, gone and got them done. I don't do a lot of self-maintenance stuff. Like going to the gym and having long hair, that's about all that I can handle. But at some point, catch me with like some sick ass like smoky eyes at Fashion Week. That day will come and it's gonna be so sweet. Here's an incredible question. How many people are usually involved in a fashion show? What are the different tasks that they do? The most important role is usually the PRs, and those are the people that actually get everything arranged leading up to the runway show. They start a couple of months out, and they're just sending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails. These are to just do everything from just standard invites to receiving requests for invites, auditing all of those requests, figuring out who actually needs to come, how the seats are going to be arranged, who needs to go in what seat. Are we going to seat these people together, seat these people together? They're able to coordinate if an outfit from the brand is going to be lent out to a certain celebrity or just a person of interest or a friend of the brand, and that will be returned to them. Is it being gifted to them for some reason? They are also standing at the door, letting people in with the iPads, checking if like people are even allowed to come inside. They do an enormous amount of work, and they're almost never thanked for it. They work insanely hard. There's a lot of security at runway shows. Those people have really, really difficult jobs. Usually security has this cool thing where they only speak French, or they at least claim that they can only speak French. And so they're able to just yell at you in French. And usually if you're being yelled at in another language, you're more likely to be like, okay, okay, okay. Who else? There's people who are responsible for putting together the set and breaking down the set. You have the tech people who are responsible for running the cameras and making sure that anything like if there's fog that's going out, they need to get those systems set up, tested, make sure they work correctly, make sure they work when they're supposed to work. You have stylists, but that's usually only for really big shows. I find that a lot of smaller brands usually are just styled by the designer, because usually the designer kind of knows what they want in the first place. What else? You have just random crew people who will do things like, okay, when you first walk into a runway room, usually the runway is covered by a lining of plastic, and that makes it where people who are coming from outside and have been walking all over Paris all day, they can walk all over the runway and it's not going to like make it dirty. And then there's like crew people that will be like, okay, I have just been informed that the runway is starting in 120 seconds, and they go and they rip up all the plastic from the runway.
Mood board.
What else? Is there anybody else? Usually just employees of the brand are there and present so that they can kind of put out fires and sort of fill holes that need to be filled in the meantime. There's usually dressers. There's oftentimes dressers for shows that have a lot of models. There's people that kind of help the models get dressed and like cover their makeup and make sure their hair is preserved while they're like getting the clothes on and stuff. Oh, hair and makeup people. There's, I mean, obviously a ton of hair and makeup people. But ultimately this all just kind of depends on what brand this is. Man, I just talked a lot right there, and I don't know if that was helpful at all. What kind of things can help you improve your fashion sense? That's a good question. I find that most of that has to do with you being purposeful about your media diet. The things that you're taking in ultimately are going to become your point of reference for the way that you think. Your kind of perspective on the world is going to be shaped a lot by the things that you're taking in. Movies, shows that you're watching, books that you're reading, songs that you're listening to, podcasts that you listen to. And obviously there's a period in your day, in your week, whatever, where you just need to rest, and doing things that are legitimately restful for you is important. I have a really hard time doing that myself. Like every spare waking moment of my life, my brain naturally wants to be like, okay, I need to watch a Werner Herzog documentary. Oh my gosh, someone told me that the game Inscription is like super meta and could teach me a lot about making art. I should play that. It is important to rest. But if you find that, you know, like 20 hours of your week are going into rewatching Seinfeld episodes, I don't want to be too harsh with you, but you're probably wasting time. You need to be finding books that you want to read. You need to be finding movies that are not just like, oh, I heard this movie was crazy, but like movies that you think are going to sort of further the internal library of your references, that you're going to be able to get some kind of benefit out of it. And just be purposeful about it. Like for me, I read about 12 books a year. If I live to be 85, I'm 33 right now. That means that I'm going to get 624 books in before I die. 624 is a lot of books. If like that's what I read in the last year, you might have like wasted that year if you read 624 books in a year. But like compared to all of the books that I can choose from, that's not a lot of books. So I need to be pretty purposeful about the books that I am choosing to read. Just be purposeful about it. You don't have to get too crazy with it. Just be purposeful. Will you continue the Margiela series after Spring Summer 09? I will not. No. This is just going to be... I mean, if you'll notice at the beginning of every episode, it's welcome back to the Margiela series, where we're exploring every single runway show that Martin Margiela produced at his eponymous house. And that's what we're going to do. We're reaching the end. It's kind of crazy. I love everybody so much, and I so appreciate you spending your time coming and hanging out on the channel. If you got benefit from this, please join the Patreon. Support the channel so that we can continue to run. We can continue to do this kind of thing for you. We have some really special projects on the way very, very soon. I'm very excited to release them. All right. Love you. Mean it. Bye.